The first revenue operating system challenge climb module is mindset. What I want to do is explain my mindset practice and how I think about it. I'm not suggesting you follow what I do, but for some people, I think it will be helpful and they will find a gravitational pull to the same kinds of things that I do. And others won't. You'll be, if anything, in some cases, repelled by this, think I'm completely off my rocker. Because my approach is a very different from many. And that's good because it works for me. So I'm not saying you follow this approach. What I'm saying is you have a mindset practice. And that's why that module is so important. Having this mindset practice for me goes back about 10 years, but it's really only been in the last year that I've actually had it as a mindset practice, meaning, and I define all this stuff in the Mindset Challenge Climb, but the idea is that you know what you're going to do every day to keep yourself in that space where you know you're going to be very successful. You know you're going to make a ton of money and you know that you're going to get the life you want. That's what the mindset practice does. And I believe that. I have that. It doesn't go away. There's breaks in it. I'll explain that in a minute, but I know when the breaks are happening too. I'm not unconscious about them. And then the second thing is, what do you do during the day when your mindset, you set up your day with the mindset practice, or you do it before you go to bed. I do it in the morning. But then you got to set it, you got to use it, throughout the day. So it's not good enough to have an hour where things are amazing and then the rest of the day is terrible. So that's the idea of mindset practice and then daily execution of the mindset practice. In Challenge Climb, you develop both sides of this. So what do I do then? Well, mine comes out of Daoism. And I won't go too much details about this because you can look it up. Just go online. You want to know about Daoism, go online, look it up. If you've never heard of it, I'll give you a quick overview. If you've heard of it, you probably don't need much information from me. You already know it, or you can go look it up. So I want to talk more about the application of it. But to set some context, this comes from ancient China. It's like 500 years BCE is when this started to develop. It was the actually official religion at one point of China, although I don't think of it as a religion. I think it can be thought of that way. I think of it more of as a philosophy, a way of life, like Buddhism, which is similar, I think, but it's different, but it's similar. And with Taoism, it comes from this, I guess you call him a monk. Lao Tzu is his name, Lao Tzu, and it means sage or master. I forget exactly. So I don't care that much about the history of this. I care more about using it, which is kind of part of that philosophical tradition, which is, it's not about books, it's about living. I can explain that too. So here's the book this comes from, and there's different versions of it, but I like this translation by John Minford. The way it works is that it's a simple concept in a way. There's the Tao, the way. And the Tao is universal and undifferentiated. I'll give you an example of how big it is and also how small at the same time. That's how you think. That's how Taoist tradition, you think, small and big are the same. They kind of yin yang symbol, right? It sort of rolls into each other in this sort of perpetual cycle. They're not separated from each other. They're together. I know it's just not Western way of thinking. This is kind of how I think now, which just helps me a lot. So as long as it helps me, it's great, right? If I'm losing you, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Maybe this video isn't for you, but still do the mindset practice because I'm not teaching Taoist approaches there. So what I'm thinking about then is the universe Tao, is energy Tao. Yes and no. So again, yes, no, kind of circular, because it's both. It's yes and no. So in other words, the universe and energy and all is part of Tao. It's part of it, but it's not all of it. So what is Tao then? Can't explain it. You can't explain it, but you can be in it. Okay. So when you feel really connected, like you're doing something where everything is just perfect, you're just there. You're swimming in Tao in those moments. That's what this is about. You're in Tao. In other words, the universe has a way. So the way, Tao, the way. When we live in that way without acting, it's a concept called Wu Wei, non-action. When we're living in that way and we're not acting, the power, this is called the Tao and the power, Tao Te Ching, Tao is way, Ching is power. So the idea of living in the power is that when you're living in the power, the Tao is infused in you because you've gotten out of your own way. So in our Western concept, we think of ego, small self, the ego self, selfishness, the chattering mind self. So the idea is just separating from that. And there's something deeper. You know, different traditions call it different things, spirit, animus. I don't know. I'm not an expert in those things, but I understand it really well, but I'm not an expert in it. But I really do understand it. So if you are open and allowing yourself to live in Tao, the universal power behind Tao is there for you to use. That's when things really happen. Really, really happen. And I see it. I know it works because it's working for me. But nobody can stay in that. You get glimpses of it. I can't stay in that any more than anybody else can. I mean, you get a Dalai Lama or somebody like this, or probably Jesus Christ or Muhammad, Buddha, all those, you know, even someone like Nelson Mandela, you know. So these leaders, I think, are leaders because they can stay in that Taoist place more than most people. Probably not all the time either, but in the belief system, as I understand it, someone like Mother Teresa is living in Tao most of the time. It's not about her. It's about that universal spirit and animating her. So it's not life. Her life's not about her. It's not her own life. And none of these people really, it's about their own ego life, their selfish life. So what does it have to do with business and revenue? It's everything for me. So the whole point of this is explaining my mindset practice to illustrate the importance of a mindset practice. So on September 20th, 2021, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I realized I had to do something different. And it had to be fundamentally different. And that's after 10 years of working on myself, which I won't go into here, where I was ready to do that, to make that shift, which is very hard for people to do. So here's my practice. I get up like 4:30, 5 in the morning. I go downstairs. I start with Tai Chi. So Tai Chi, I'll do 5 minutes to 30 minutes, usually 15 minutes. It's enough. So it's a movement system with breathing integrated with it and meditation that allows you to open up your body and your mind and your breathing to connect with Tao. That gives me the power. That power comes in. And the way becomes available of what I do. So I follow the way. I don't force action. Wu Wei, non-action, action. I'm not forcing action. I'm attaching to things that are put in front of me that are useful. Right? And the reaction of those things and getting the benefit from those things happens when it happens. That's why I can post all the time on LinkedIn and not get any comments. Although I get decent comments right now, it's going to get better and better and better because I'm going to keep doing it. Now, when I'm in my own way and I'm not living in the Tao, I'm like frustrated and I'm pissed off. Why don't I get more comments? I want to give up and so hard. And why don't more people like me and all that nonsense? This chattering mind, the small self. I have to be important. When I'm living in Tao, I don't have to be important. I'm just sharing what I care about and using a tool to help me with my business in a very connected way. So I finished Tai Chi. I sit down and read these books. So the first one is 365 Tao, Dungming Tao. It's daily meditation. So it's just basically a page with a poem and an explanation. This is awesome. And then right now I'm reading this book, The Sages Tao Te Ching by William Martin. And this is pretty cool. It's about getting older and how you need to do that and think about it. And it's actually like our society doesn't value age, which is a huge mistake. Something wrong with the society, not old people. So how do you become a sage as opposed to a grumpy old person? That's the idea of that book. And, you know, when I finish this book, I'll probably find another one. When I finish this book, I'll just start over again on January 1st. And then I read this book called The Book of Awakening. And I may keep this one going. And I like him because it's not Taoist. It's not even self-help. It's almost like poetry, but it has a self-help component. It's very meditative, and it totally fits with Taoism for me. So every day there's a different kind of little chapter, and he's got a meditation at the end of it. And then every day I read this. So they're very short chapters. So here's one called Turning, and it's basically just the actual text itself with commentary from different people. Each one's about a page or two. And when I'm done with that, I have a business book. No inboxes. Sometimes I go right to LinkedIn because I got to write a post or do something, but I don't open any inboxes. I only go to the writing part, or I pick up a journal and I write in the journal, or I pick up a business book. Right. And it's very important. And this whole thing, you know, 4:30 to 5 ends around 6:30. I don't really get into inboxes until about 8:39 in the morning. That has been so helpful. This has been going on for about a year. So the point of all this is, here's a way, here's a practice. If you want to do it, shoot me a note during the office hours. We can communicate back and forth about it, certainly help you out. If you're not interested in this at all, hopefully this motivated you to go through that mindset practice, challenge climb, and take it seriously and fundamentally change your life. Why not? You only got one. You might as well have the fortitude, the guts, the courage to conquer yourself. This is about controlling your thinking and controlling your feelings. And that leads to controlling your day, running your own life, not letting your clients run your life, not letting other people's expectations run your life. This is not easy. It's probably the hardest thing anybody can do on the planet. But sometimes the hardest things are the things that have the biggest payoffs, right? So hopefully this was helpful, and happy mindset practice.